You didn't expect it, the way he switched up on you. One day he's loving, consistent, making promises. The next, cold, distant, silent. It hits hard, doesn't it? But here's the truth no one tells you. What breaks you can also build you if you use it right. The very thing that made you question your worth can become your most powerful weapon if you learn how to confuse him by doing the one thing he never saw coming, pulling your energy back. See, men who play games expect a reaction. They expect tears, texts, begging, long messages, trying to fix it. But what they don't expect is silence, confidence, detachment. That's the power of the unexpected. When you stop trying to win him back and start winning yourself back, everything shifts. He starts to wonder, why isn't she chasing me? And that's where the confusion begins, because your power returns to you. This video isn't about revenge. It's about realignment. It's about using the pain he caused as the pivot point for your glow up. When you confuse him by not playing the game, you flip the whole script. You remind him that losing you wasn't just a moment, it was a mistake. So if you're sitting there wondering what to say or do next, don't. Instead, just watch this. From this moment on, it's not about making him understand your worth. It's about you realizing it first. And once you do, the way you move will speak louder than any words ever could. Let's begin. When a man hurts you, especially someone you trusted, it's natural to start asking yourself why. Was it something you did? Something you didn't say? Were you not enough? These questions spiral. And that's exactly how you end up trapped in a loop of self-blame. But let's pause for a second and shift the lens. Because most of the time, it's not about you at all. It's about him and what's going on inside his mind. Here's the psychology. Some men don't know how to handle intimacy. Real connection scares them, so they seek closeness until it becomes too real. Then they retreat. This push-pull behavior isn't because you're too much, it's because emotional depth triggers something unresolved in them. Maybe it's past trauma, fear of vulnerability, or even ego. But what they do next, distancing, hurting, ghosting, isn't a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their own emotional immaturity. Others hurt you because they feed on control. They like knowing they can get a reaction. Your tears, your confusion, your anxiety, to someone emotionally unavailable or manipulative, that's fuel. Not because they're evil, but because power gives them validation. In their world, love becomes a game of ego. And if they feel small in their own life, making someone else feel smaller gives them temporary power. And then there's the third type, the one who never intended to hurt you but still did. Why? Because he never truly saw you. He projected what he wanted, got caught up in the moment, and when it became inconvenient, he bailed. It wasn't malicious, but it was careless, and carelessness still leaves bruises. Now here's the part that stings a little. We often tolerate being hurt when deep down we're scared of losing the little we've been given. So we settle, we rationalize. We say things like, he's just going through something, or maybe he'll come back around. But listen carefully, he hurts you because he knows you'll stay. That's the hard truth. When a man knows he can disrespect you and still have access to you, the cycle continues. Not because he's always aware of what he's doing, but because he's never been forced to face the consequences of it. The antidote to this isn't revenge, and it's not giving him a taste of his own medicine. It's choosing to break the cycle completely. It's recognizing the moment he hurts you as the moment you wake up, not fall apart. Because once you understand the why, you stop personalizing the pain. You stop asking, what's wrong with me, and start asking, why am I giving so much to someone who gives so little? Here's something to remember. Hurting someone who loves you is easy when that person doesn't know their worth. So the real shift begins not with him changing, but with you realizing you never needed to be hurt to be loved. You never needed to be confused to feel connection. Healthy love does not leave you guessing. It does not disappear. It does not make you feel small. And once you see that clearly, the game ends, the confusion ends, and your healing begins. You're not weak for caring. You're not stupid for falling, but you are powerful when you decide that being hurt is no longer acceptable, no matter how much you wanted it to work. And that power, That's the energy that confuses him the most. Let's keep going. You're about to learn how to respond with silence, grace, and strength, the kind that makes him wonder what happened while you're already moving on. There's a moment right after he hurts you where your instincts scream to react, to text him back, to confront him, to explain how much he's hurt you, to make him understand, because it feels like if you just say the right thing, he'll snap out of it. He'll realize your worth. He'll fix it. But here's the hard truth. Reacting gives him power. It shows him you're still emotionally invested, and that gives him the upper hand every time. That's why the most unexpected and powerful move you can make isn't a loud one, it's silence, stillness, zero reaction. When you stop reacting, something interesting happens. He becomes unsure. He starts to question. He expects a text, a rant, a breakdown. But when it doesn't come, that's when he starts thinking, why isn't she mad? Why isn't she chasing me? Has she moved on? That silence isn't just empty space. It's psychological pressure. It disrupts his pattern. Because up until now, he's always known exactly how you'd respond. See, a man who plays with your emotions thrives on your reaction. That's how he knows he still has access to your heart, your energy, your peace. Every time you explain, justify, or plead for clarity, you're giving him a front row seat to your vulnerability while he stands emotionally guarded. But when you step out of that dynamic and choose to not give him anything, not your attention, your explanation, or your energy, he feels that shift deeply. And it confuses him, not because you're playing a game, but because you stopped playing his. Stopping your reaction isn't about being cold or pretending you don't care. It's about choosing you over proving your worth to someone who already knows it and still chose to hurt you. It's about protecting your peace, because peace is power, and nothing confuses someone who expects chaos more than calm detachment. Let him sit with the silence. Let him wonder what's going on in your mind. While he's trying to figure out your next move, you're already making your next chapter. That's how you take control, not by forcing closure, but by closing the door yourself, quietly, with grace. The silence isn't empty, it's full of self-respect. And maybe he'll reach out, maybe he'll start breadcrumbing again, trying to test if you'll still respond. But here's the twist, you don't need his attention anymore. Because the version of you that needed his validation, she doesn't live here anymore. She evolved the moment she stopped reacting. This doesn't mean you don't feel the hurt. It doesn't mean you don't miss the version of him you fell for. But now you understand that reacting to pain doesn't heal it, it just repeats it. And if you want to truly move on, truly confuse him, and most importantly, truly empower yourself, you stay still, you stay quiet, you stay focused. No more paragraphs, no more over-explaining, no more trying to prove you're the one. Because here's the truth. The second you stop reacting, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is powerful. It forces people to see you in a new light. It forces him to realize he doesn't get to hurt you and keep access to you. That's what makes him confused. That's what makes him feel the consequences. So don't speak, don't chase, don't explain. Let your silence be the loudest thing he hears. Silence is not just the absence of sound. When used with intention, it's a weapon, a boundary, a message louder than words could ever deliver. And when a man hurts you, whether by ghosting, pulling away, breadcrumbing, or playing mind games, your silence can completely flip the power dynamic. That's what we call the silence flip. Here's what most people get wrong. They think silence is passive, that it's giving up, that by not responding, they're letting the other person win. But what if I told you that your silence is actually you taking back the driver's seat? The silence flip strategy isn't about punishing him. It's about redirecting your energy inward, and in doing so, shaking his entire perception of you. When a woman who used to react suddenly goes quiet, the shift is magnetic. It makes him stop in his tracks. Because now, you're not feeding his ego. You're not giving him the emotional payoff he's used to. The texts, the crying, the late night, I just need to understand calls, all gone. And suddenly, he's not so sure of his control anymore. This silence is calculated, it's calm, it's rooted in self-respect, and it's confusing, especially to a man who thought he had you figured out. The silence flip works because it activates something powerful, curiosity. People don't miss what they take for granted, they miss what suddenly becomes unavailable. When you stop explaining yourself, stop giving updates, stop checking in, he starts wondering, where did she go? Why is she reacting like before? Is she seeing someone else? Has she moved on? And even if he doesn't reach out right away, he feels the shift. That's the flip. You went from predictable to unpredictable, from emotionally open to emotionally protected, from available to untouchable. He no longer has the emotional access he once had, and that's unsettling because for the first time, he's no longer in control of the narrative. But here's where the real magic of the silence flip comes in. It's not about him at all. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your mental space, healing in peace, and letting your absence speak the truth he chose to ignore when he had you. Because silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're done performing, done proving, done participating in a one-sided connection. Silence gives you the space to hear yourself again. It helps you stop chasing closure and start creating clarity on your own terms. It's where your standards rise, where your energy shifts, where you remember that you never had to beg to be understood, you just needed to be respected. And don't be surprised if after a while he comes back, texting, calling, saying he's been thinking. That's not love, that's confusion. That's him feeling the loss of your presence, not a change of heart. So ask yourself, do I want someone who only values me in my absence? Or someone who shows up while I'm still here? The silence flip strategy is simple, but it's not easy because it takes emotional discipline. It takes choosing peace over chaos, power over ego, and self-respect over temporary validation. But once you master it, something beautiful happens. You stop waiting for a text. You stop needing the apology. You stop wondering if he'll come back. Because suddenly you don't want him to, not if he has to lose you first to realize what he had. That's the real power of silence. That's the flip. And once you do it, you'll never go back to begging again. There comes a moment, after the tears, the confusion, the late night overthinking, when you stop asking, why did he do this to me? And start asking, why did I allow it? That moment, that's when emotional detachment begins. And that detachment, that's your power. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're numb or cold. It means you're finally choosing yourself over the chaos. It means you're no longer tied to the outcome, to the hope, to the fantasy of what it could have been. You're seeing things clearly, maybe for the first time, without excuses, without filters, without illusions. When you're emotionally attached to someone who's hurting you, everything they do has the power to break you. One word, one silence, one shift in tone, and suddenly your whole mood crashes. That's not love, that's dependency. That's giving someone else full control over your inner world. But when you detach, you take that control back. You stop checking your phone, you stop decoding mixed signals, you stop justifying bad behavior. Why? Because your peace matters more than their presence. That's what detachment really is. Choosing peace over the performance of a relationship that isn't real anymore. Here's the truth. When you detach emotionally, you no longer need him to change in order for you to be okay. You stop needing closure because you become the closure. You stop needing apologies because you give yourself the forgiveness. You stop needing to be chosen because you realize you've always had the power to choose yourself. And here's where it really confuses him. Because emotional detachment is silent. You don't announce it, you don't post about it, you don't even have to block him. You just shift your energy and he feels it. He might not be able to explain it, but suddenly your vibe is different. You're no longer available. Not emotionally, not mentally, not spiritually. He'll try to test it. He might throw out a text to see if the hook is still there. He might compliment you out of nowhere. He might act like nothing happened. But this time, you're not moved. You don't jump to respond. You don't read between the lines. You don't react because you're not chasing connection. You're protecting your energy. And that's what emotional detachment gives you. Freedom. The freedom to walk away without needing him to validate your decision. The freedom to stop begging for the bare minimum. The freedom to stop shrinking yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. This is where your confidence starts rebuilding, not the loud kind, but the quiet confidence that says, I know who I am and I won't accept less. That's the energy that shakes him. That's the energy that makes him question how he ever thought he could lose you and still sleep peacefully at night. You don't get there overnight. Emotional detachment is a process. You'll slip, you'll miss him, you'll romanticize the good moments, but each time you catch yourself and come back to reality, that's strength. It's healing, that's you rising, and eventually you'll feel it, peace, the kind that doesn't need closure, attention, or a second chance. The kind that comes from knowing you're no longer tied to someone who didn't see your worth the first time. So when he says, you've changed, smile, say nothing, because he's right. You have changed. You're no longer emotionally available for chaos. You're emotionally invested in yourself. And that is the purest form of power. What makes you truly irresistible isn't your looks. It's not how many compliments you get or how many men want your attention. It's not your outfit, your body, or how well you can flirt. Real, magnetic, lasting irresistibility, the kind that makes someone regret losing you, comes from something much deeper, how you carry yourself when you know your worth. A woman becomes irresistible the moment she stops trying to be chosen and starts choosing herself. The moment she's no longer available for anything that feels like confusion, inconsistency, or emotional games. When you embody self-respect, it radiates. It's in your silence, your boundaries, your calm reactions. It's in the way you no longer chase energy that drains you. Men are drawn to beauty, sure, but they're held by something stronger, energy. And the most powerful energy you can carry is one that says, I like you, but I don't need you to validate me. That detachment, that confidence, that presence that says, I'm already full, and anything extra has to match my peace. That's what makes you unforgettable. You become truly irresistible when you stop trying to be the one for someone who doesn't even know what they want. You become magnetic when you live in alignment, when your words, your actions, and your standards all say the same thing. I love myself too much to settle. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about being hard to access, because your energy is no longer freely given. When a man senses that he doesn't just get access to you, that he has to earn it, protect it, and respect it, you shift from an option to a standard. That's when he starts to see you differently. That's when confusion turns into desire. Not because you chased him, but because you stopped chasing anyone. Irresistibility comes from emotional independence. You're not afraid to walk away. You're not waiting for someone to see your value. You're not stuck in potential. You're living in reality. And the reality is this: when you start showing up for yourself the way you once showed up for him, everything changes. Your glow hits different. Your silence feels heavier. Your presence becomes a privilege. And here's the plot twist. Once you step into that energy, the people who took you for granted start to notice. They always do. But by then, you'll realize the real reward wasn't them coming back. It was you coming back to yourself. Stronger, wiser, softer, but with sharper standards. What makes you truly irresistible isn't your ability to win him back. It's the quiet confidence that says, I would have given you everything, but now I'm giving it to me. It's your ability to stay kind, stay graceful, but never beg, never lower, never shrink. So if you're wondering how to confuse him, how to get under his skin, how to make him realize what he lost, stop focusing on him. Focus on rising so beautifully that he has no choice but to feel your absence. Let your energy say everything. Your words don't. Because when you love yourself the way he should have, with consistency, presence, respect, and depth, you become the version of you that no one forgets. That's what makes you truly irresistible. If there's one thing Matthew Hussey teaches better than anyone, it's that your mindset is your power. It's the root of your standards, your relationships, your boundaries, everything. And the biggest shift you can make isn't about becoming more attractive to men. It's about becoming more connected to your value, with or without them. That's the Matthew Hussey mindset shift. You don't chase love, you attract it by being fully aligned with who you are. This shift starts when you stop asking, why doesn't he want me? And start asking, why do I want someone who makes me question my worth? That alone changes the entire energy of your dating life, because instead of focusing outward, analyzing his actions, decoding mixed signals, wondering if you're enough, you start focusing inward. You start asking better questions. Does this situation make me feel safe, seen, valued? Matthew often says people treat you how you train them to. And that means your silence, your boundaries, your walk-away game. It all teaches them something. When you accept inconsistency, you teach someone that's all they need to give you. But when you detach from needing them and elevate your standards, they either rise to meet you or fall out of your life. The beauty of this mindset is that it gives you control back without needing to control anyone else. You stop trying to fix, change, or convince. You let people show you who they are, and when they do, you believe them. You no longer need to rewrite the story or hold on to hope. You trust reality. That's where peace begins. And here's what's really powerful. When you embody this energy, you start attracting people who reflect it. People who don't ghost, breadcrumb, or play games. People who show up. But that only happens after you make the internal shift. Not when you learn tactics, not when you memorize responses, but when you live and breathe self-worth. When you love yourself enough to say, I want love, but not at the cost of my dignity. The Matthew Hussey mindset is not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget, because of how deeply you love yourself, because of how rare it is to find someone who's emotionally intelligent, grounded, and unwilling to settle for surface-level attention. It's about understanding that chemistry is not commitment, that just because someone feels good in a moment doesn't mean they're good for your life. It's knowing that your time, your peace, and your love are investments, not giveaways. It's also about owning your role, not blaming every man, not staying stuck in victimhood, but asking, how did I abandon myself while trying to keep him? That's not self-blame, that's self-awareness. That's where transformation happens. Because once you know how you lost yourself, you can start choosing differently. And when you fully adopt this mindset, confusion disappears. You're no longer wondering if someone likes you. You're asking, do I like how I feel around them? You're no longer hoping they choose you. You're choosing yourself and letting everything else align from there. That's the shift. From scarcity to abundance, from chasing to attracting, from needing love to embodying it. The Matthew Hussey mindset isn't a trick. It's a lifestyle, one that turns heartbreak into clarity, silence into strength, and self-respect into your new baseline. Because at the end of the day, the relationship you build with yourself sets the tone for every relationship that follows. And that's unshakable. When someone hurts you, your first instinct might be to make them understand what they did. You want them to see the pain, to realize what they've lost. You want an apology, a change in behavior, some kind of sign that they finally get it. But the truth is, the most powerful way to let a man feel your absence isn't through words. It's not through confrontation. It's not through proving anything. It's through your disappearance. Let him feel the loss. Not by yelling, not by posting quotes on your story, not by sending a message at 2 a.m., but by removing your energy completely. That's the real consequence. That's the reality check. And that's when it hits him hardest. Because most men who play games, breadcrumb, or disappear without explanation, they don't expect you to walk away for good. They expect you to pause, cry, maybe distance yourself for a bit, but eventually come back. They think the door will always be open, even if it's just a crack. So when you close it quietly, without drama, without warning, and without begging, that silence becomes deafening. This isn't about revenge. This is about respect for yourself. You let him feel the loss by letting go completely, not checking his page, not asking mutual friends, not relapsing into old conversations when he decides to reach out with, hey, you good? You don't owe him a reaction. You don't owe him a breakdown. You don't owe him access. What you owe is you, your own healing, your own evolution, and your own peace. And while he's out there thinking you're still in your feelings, still waiting for him to get it together, still attached to the version of him you loved, you're already becoming someone he wouldn't recognize, someone he can't reach anymore, someone who doesn't just glow differently, but lives differently. Letting him feel the loss means you stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. You walk away without the need to be seen, heard, or understood because you understand yourself. And that's what creates the shift. That's what he remembers when he's lying awake at night, realizing your silence isn't temporary, it's permanent. He'll replay your last conversation. He'll revisit your photos. He'll think about how you were the one who showed up, stayed loyal, gave your best, and how he took it all for granted. And while he's finally beginning to feel the loss, you're already in your next chapter. Letting him feel the loss means you stop negotiating your standards. You stop waiting to be chosen. You stop trying to make someone see what was right in front of them. Because here's the truth. When you were in his life, you gave love freely. You gave depth, care, presence. And if that wasn't enough for him, no amount of proving will ever change that. But your absence? That speaks in a language the ego understands. That's the plot twist. Not anger. Not revenge, just detachment. You stop being an option the moment you start treating yourself like the only priority. And when you do that, you don't have to make him regret losing you. He just will. Not because you forced it, but because your absence became louder than any apology he never gave. Let him sit in that space. Let him remember what it felt like to have you and lose you. You don't have to chase closure. You are the closure. You made it to the end of this journey, and that alone speaks volumes. It means you're not here to stay stuck. You're not here to keep repeating the same cycles, chasing the same unfulfilling patterns. You're here because deep down, you know you deserve better. And not just better from someone else, but better from yourself. This is your moment to reclaim every part of you that you gave away too easily. The pieces you handed over while hoping to be loved. The energy you poured into people who didn't know how to receive it. The love you gave so freely, thinking that maybe, just maybe, it would finally be enough. But here's the truth. It was enough. You were enough. They just weren't capable of meeting you where you stood. You are not hard to love. You are just no longer available for anything that makes you feel less than whole. That's your new standard. That's your power. And it starts right now. No more shrinking. No more over-explaining. No more waiting on someone to treat you right. You are not a placeholder. You are not a second choice. You are the blessing, the kind of woman who brings peace, passion, depth, and loyalty. Anyone who can't recognize that doesn't belong in your space. And remember, healing is not about never feeling pain again. It's about learning to protect your peace even when the pain visits. It's about moving through life with softness and strength at the same time. You don't need to harden your heart to heal. You just need to become unavailable for disrespect. Your journey from pain to power is not linear. Some days you'll feel triggered. Some nights you'll miss him. But healing isn't about never missing them. It's about missing them and not going back. That's growth. That's grace. That's you rising. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your new chapter. The one where you're no longer waiting for someone to make you feel chosen. You're choosing yourself again and again until the right person sees you and says, I choose you too, fully and without hesitation. Until then, you don't sit in loneliness. You sit in peace. You build, you grow, you fall in love with your life. You become the version of yourself you once thought you needed someone else to complete. The power was never in getting him back. The power was in getting you back. So if no one has told you this today, you're doing better than you think. You're healing, you're evolving, and you're worthy of a love that doesn't leave you guessing. Keep rising, keep glowing. Keep choosing you. This isn't the end. This is your rebirth, and the best is yet to come.